What's going on, everyone? So there's a ton of talk about the Los Angeles Lakers landing Nic Claxton. And look, I even myself have said that I think he's the most likely center to land with the Lakers, right? Because we know Brooklyn and what they're looking to do, what they want. They want to kind of clear the deck. They want the cap space. Lakers have the expiring contracts, which we saw the Brooklyn Nets really value, right? It's why we were able to get Dorian Finney-Smith when you had a team like Memphis offering a protected pick, right? They were willing to give up a first. Yes, it was protected, but it was still a first. Well, it was like, yeah, but we don't want to take on the long-term salary that we'd have to take with the guy that you're sending out. Where the Lakers, we can get a guy in D'Angelo Russell, right? Now, that doesn't mean that, they're just going to give Nic Claxton away. You're probably going to have to pony up some stuff. But he is a guy that's young enough, skilled enough, talented enough, particularly on the defensive side of things. I do worry about him and his weight, right? He's 215 pounds soaking wet, right? So you definitely need to get a more physically imposing center. You need to get a guy that can, in a backup role that could be more physically empowering. But also, I worry about, Nic Claxton and his contract and what you have to give up. I do like that it drops every year, which could be the difference between you being a first or second apron team, so on and so forth, right? Or you being able to free up one of your exceptions or whatever, right? So there's value in that too, but it is still long-term money, right? He's due like something like $68 million or something like that over the next 3 years. It's like, it's not pennies, right? So again, Lakers, I do think Nic Claxton makes the most sense. Rob Pelinka and the Nets have made trades before. Sean Marks and Rob Pelinka have a good relationship, right? That's important when you're talking about getting trades done and whatnot. So do think the most likely path to the Lakers landing that clear-cut starting center is Nic Claxton. Again, he's not without his faults. Definitely some concerns. Lakers would still have to do some other stuff. But Nic Claxton, as far as what you're looking for at the center position, is everything the Lakers need, right? Floor running, lob threat, right? Athletic, versatile defensive guy, could protect the rim, right? And would pair beautifully alongside Luka Doncic for the next, 8 years, right? On top of that, he's already a double-double guy, right? He's only going to be better alongside Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves, and especially as that outlet and whatnot. But more than anything, right? And the thing that I really want to focus on in this video is the defense, right? Because again, there's other guys, a Daniel Gafford, Walker Kessler just became on the market again. I still love, he's still my favorite option. You got them linked to Jalen Duren and, Mark Williams and so on and so forth, right? There are several options at the center spot. We'll see who the Lakers ultimately end up getting. But I do think that there is an argument for Nic Claxton beyond, the usual stuff, just strictly on the defensive versatility, right? He is one of the few centers that is incredibly switchable and can defend in a multitude of ways, right? Part of the downside with Nic Claxton is he's 215 pounds. But part of the thing that makes him so great, right, is that he's 250 pounds, so he's so mobile and agile and can kind of move and shift well. You're talking about a guy that can defend at the rim, talk about a guy that can defend in space, talk about a guy that can defend in the pick and roll. He's one of the better defensive big men in all of basketball. And particularly with the Lakers and the type of defense that we see the Lakers want to run, where they basically just switch everything. A guy like Nic Claxton would be so much better utilized than even, say, a guy like a Walker Kessler. Don't get me wrong, Walker Kessler can defend in space, he can defend in that, but Nic Claxton's just so much more mobile. Again, Walker Kessler is my guy. Go get Walker Kessler. But I'm saying, one of the real benefits to a Nic Claxton is his defensive switchability and versatility. Talking about a center that legitimately can defend 1 through 5. There are highlight videos of him defending guys like a Ja Morant, like an SGA, and staying in front of him, switching, blocking shots, contesting shots, doing all those things, right? Lakers need that defensive versatility. They want to switch everything. They want to be this versatile defense. Nic Claxton is one of the best in that regard, right? Again, Nic Claxton is lower on the totem pole for me as far as centers that the Lakers could potentially acquire. But as far as the defensive versatility goes, just strictly the defensive side of things, he's actually one of the ones that are highest. And he might actually be arguably the best fit for the defensive style, the defensive scheming, and the type of center that you want. Again, that floor running, versatile, right? Guy that can pair alongside Luka Doncic, right? Especially if you are keeping Austin Reeves. You want that kind of versatile, mobile, help side type of center, which Nic Claxton can be, right? And just to like kind of, again, this isn't the be all end all, but to kind of give you a little bit of perspective, right? Anthony Davis, for example, one of, if not the best defensive players in the league, right? You look at him, he was a 108 defensive rating this past season, right? Well, if you look at Nic Claxton, he was a 111.9 in one, fewer minutes, two, right? He's on a much worse defensive team than the Lakers were this past year with Anthony Davis. And then an even worse, they were even worse than Dallas, who was one of the better defensive teams, right? So like, again, you look at like Anthony Davis and his impact on the defense. I think part of that is because he is so versatile, or Victor Wembanyama, guys like that, right? Again, I'm not saying Nic Claxton is Wemby or an Anthony Davis, but I'm just saying like, as far as like the defensive impact and the versatility there and what he provides, right? Like when you think of Nic Claxton, you think of him as that defensive versatile guy, right? You don't think of him as this like offensive threat and, oh, this is that monster, guy that you just dump the ball down to and he just goes to work all game, right? No, he's a guy that you're looking at to be that versatile, switchable defender, right? Even a Victor Wembanyama was a 10, was just slightly better than a 108, 107.7, right? So you're talking about a guy that, again, it doesn't have the attributes and stuff that an Anthony Davis or Wemby has, wasn't as on good of a defensive team, but still is able to be that versatile defensive type of center. And I think that just goes a long way for a team like the Lakers, right? Particularly with what JJ and the style of, again, defense that he wants to run, the style in which this team wants to play with Luka, with Reeves, with LeBron, and especially if you're gonna have Luka and Reeves in your backcourt. In a perfect world, you have Reeves kind of come off the bench and be your sixth man. I just don't think the Lakers are going to do that, and I don't think the Lakers are going to trade Austin Reeves. So, again, you have this liability on the defensive side of things in your backcourt, right? So you need a very good, versatile defensive front court. Well, LeBron James has shown that ability, not so much over an 82-game season, right? But come playoff time, we've seen that he can anchor the defense. If you can get that versatile anchor on the defensive side of things at center position, you're in a lot better position as the Lakers. And then go get that versatile wing. You might be able to offset Luka and Austin Reeves and their defensive inabilities, right? You might be able to kind of mask those two much better than you have been able to in past years with a guy like a Nic Claxton slotted alongside of LeBron James. And then again, if you can get that legit, versatile two-way wing, hopefully with some athleticism, with all that stuff, now you're in business for the Lakers. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Feel what your thoughts? Do you agree with me? Disagree with me? Kind of mixed in the middle? Have you feel out of the way? I love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. Helps me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.